All right, guys. I wanted to do a quick, whoa, I put my hand in front of there, a quick parent guide for how to get involved in your local school. So this is more to like elementary and high schools, obviously. That's where I would think most people, if your kids are going there, you want to be involved. If there's an issue, you want to know what's going on, right? Well, number one, never, ever, ever go unprepared, right? You got to go on a fact finding mission before you ever start. So, for example, I had a call today, not from our local school, thankfully, but one a few counties over, from a counselor. And I guess this is a shout out to my counselors in the world. You guys are rock stars. The ones that work with kids that are in the schools, the ones that are out of schools, getting the kids in that need it. You guys are amazing. You're mandatory reporters to Child Protective Services. You take your job seriously and you are truly helping these kids. So if you're on the verge of going into a counseling career, please, please, please be counselors and come to Southwest Michigan. We need you. We need a lot of you. So anyway, there's a situation I was trying to call in. Sorry, he doesn't know that I'm doing this right now. So anyway, I don't remember where I went with that. Hopefully, can you guys hear me now? Anybody? If you can comment, if you can hear me. All right. Oh, you can hear me now. Okay. I should put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Maybe I still can. Give me a second here. If I can swipe down while I'm doing this. Maybe not. That's not going to work. Anyway, so the counselor called saying the parents are at their wits' end. They don't know what to do. The school was supposedly investigated. The police supposedly investigated. Now what? And they felt that the students that were perpetrating were not being punished, and that, you know, these are 11, 12-year-olds, right? So punishment as far as juvenile court goes, they're not going to be put in jail. You know, they're not going to be arrested and dragged out in handcuffs, but there are interventions that we use in juvenile court so that kids that are making poor choices don't continue to make poor choices. Those interventions for counseling and treatment, and there are, of course, some punishments that can come along with that. Anyway, so when the counselor called, she is also a parent, and she said, I don't understand, what do we do? So first off, number one, I said, have the parents contact their school board. If you have gone through everybody in the chain of command, you talk to the teacher, if you didn't get through with the teacher, you talk to the principal. If it didn't get solved with the principal, you go to the superintendent. If it didn't get solved with the superintendent, the next step is the school board. I don't like springing things on people. I feel like people usually need to digest this information a little bit. So when I have brought things to the attention of the school that I thought were very serious issues, I always make sure to put it in writing, fact check everything before you send it in, and then send it to all of your members of your school board. In Michigan, I think every school has a website that has all of their school board members listed with their emails listed. So just put one email together, state the facts, try to keep your emotion out of it, because obviously it's more powerful if you can stick to fact instead of emotion, and give the school board the chance to look at it, digest it, like I said, and do what they would normally do, which is then go to the superintendent, kind of see what had happened through the school process. If that doesn't work, then you as a parent should attend the school board meeting. There's a public comment section, usually at the beginning. Sometimes there's one at the beginning, one at the end. Sometimes it's only at the end. But with each school district, they usually have like a set agenda that they can provide to you that you can get a feel for what the order is of what they do. The other thing that you can do with schools, because they are governmental entities and state entities, you can FOIA. So the Freedom of Information Act is a very powerful way. Yes, facts do talk louder. Freedom of Information Act is a very powerful way to get documents. There are so many things that you can FOIA from a school. You can FOIA emails. So obviously there are, with the FERPA, it's like the Federal Education, I don't remember the words for it, but basically like HIPAA. But you can get emails in between the principal and the teacher and see if they actually did try to address the issue. Obviously, they will redact names of students that are included in that, especially if it's not your own student. But that FOIA can sometimes lead to more information that you didn't even know existed. So definitely use that FOIA process to get that information. Again, going armed with facts when you go in front of the school board is going to get you a lot more action out of them, because if you just go in stomping your feet and yelling about how nobody's taking things seriously, they're not necessarily going to even respond. I mean, most school boards, like most boards, they'll give you that moment, 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes to speak during public comment, but they will not respond to you. That doesn't mean that they don't care. Keep in mind that they have a policy, generally, no response, and then they will respond in writing to you after the meeting. A lot of times that's why they have you give your name and your address when you speak at the meeting, so that the superintendent or the school board can reach out to you in writing after that meeting to address your concerns, maybe set up a meeting with you, something like that. But it's important to not just jump to going to the media or getting parents all riled up about things. There are generally a lot of things that you're not going to be privy to as a parent, because there are so many privacy concerns with schools. That doesn't mean that we just get to let schools sweep things under the rug, though. If there is truly a concern, especially about child safety, you need to be an advocate for that child. Now, going back to this particular situation that the counselor had raised to me, it wasn't just like a bullying situation, as some people are kind of commenting on that, but it was could be, if proven, a juvenile petition for juvenile delinquency for misbehavior toward another student. And we'll just kind of leave it at that. The counselor stated that, well, the parents said that law enforcement isn't going to do anything. They said that it's a school issue. That's not necessarily the call of your law enforcement officer. What typically happens is, if there is a police report made about an assault, for example, say that there's a fight at the school and somebody gets punched, right? Yes, the school can just simply deal with that, not include law enforcement. If the facts of the case arise to the level of we should probably call in law enforcement because maybe there's going to be an issue where juvenile court should get involved with this child and their family, and the police officer comes, they take a report, they talk to the kids, they talk to the teacher, whoever may have witnessed it, and they then put that investigation all together and send it into the prosecutor's office. Generally, it's sent with a petition request. So if it's a juvenile, which is anybody in Michigan now under 18 at the time that the incident occurs, the police officer sends in this report and requests the prosecutor to look at it and determine whether or not there should be a petition filed in the juvenile court based on whatever the allegations are. Juvenile court is similar to adult court in that there are misdemeanors and there are felonies, so depending on what level of behavior occurred, the prosecutor could charge the juvenile with misdemeanors or felonies or both. If that happens, that juvenile can be appointed a court-appointed attorney, or they can get their own attorney, and the prosecutor's office then moves forward with what we call an adjudication. So it's not a conviction that we would be seeking to get, it would be an adjudication. So the child in that situation has the ability to fight the issue, I guess I'll say, right? Like contest it, where they could have a full hearing. They could have a jury trial on it if they want to. And if it's found that this child has committed this offense, the child is then put through the juvenile court system. Generally, they're put on a probation. There's either consent probations, which are ones that are what we call like a super secret probation, so that it's not something that would necessarily ever show up on your record, or there's a formal probation, which would show up on your record if you were to get in trouble in the future as an adult or as a juvenile again. There's also the option to put them in a juvenile detention center, but that is something that is, I won't say rarely used, I'd like to say rarely used, but it is an option for the judge if the juvenile is not going what they should be doing, not doing what they should be doing. Maybe they're not going to school like they're supposed to be doing, or working to their best ability, or they're not listening to the lawful commands of their parent or guardian. Those are reasons that juvenile's probation officer could petition the court and ask the judge to consider juvenile detention for a period of time. So with that, the prosecutor, once they get that, going back to kind of the process, once the prosecutor gets that request to have this looked at and say whether or not there should be a juvenile court petition, it is in the prosecutor's hands to say whether we believe that it should or not. And it is a case-by-case basis. I mean, there's times where if it looks like the school is handling it disciplinary-wise, the parents are handling it disciplinary-wise, and there's nothing more that could be gained from petitioning this child as a juvenile, we may choose to decline to petition and let the school and the parents deal with it. If there is a situation where the family needs the assistance of juvenile court, where the child is out of control, is not willing to listen to what the parent is telling them to do, then we can petition them. They can be petitioned, I believe, as young as 10 years of age, again, all the way up to age 17. Midnight of your 18th birthday, when you turn 18, that's when you become an adult. There's also a waiver process in juvenile court where if the offense is quite serious, or maybe it's a repeated offender, we can, as a prosecutor's office, ask to waive them into adult court. And if that happens and they are convicted, they are actually incarcerated with adults. So you may see some of the juvenile justice reform. If you Google Michigan juvenile justice reform, you'll see what's been going on in the last couple of years. But there are kids that committed capital crimes that have gone to prison at a young age because of the severity of what they have done. So there are some cases that are coming back for resentencing because of the changes in the law. But all right, any quick questions? I got a basketball game that my sister's coaching at that I want to take the kids to. So if anybody pops up a good question, let me see if I can get them to come up. Oh, let's see, top chat maybe. I don't know. I don't really want to learn more about chat, but that's okay. Let's see, live chat, all of them. It's not letting me go back and scroll through them. So, all right, guys. Well, hopefully at Latchkey Kids, that brings up an issue at our local school even. There is a very short window of time to drop off your kids, and our high school starts before our elementary starts. Whoa, kind of stuttered on that one, sorry. Our high school starts before our elementary starts for the day. So when you have an older sibling, they can't drop off their elementary age sibling because they start 20 minutes after the high school kids. And the elementary kids can't go into the school until 5 minutes prior to start time. So there's like this weird, like when it's winter in Michigan, for goodness sakes, it's freezing and icy and icky out. And we have kids that are just like huddled by the door or inside the breezeway, and it's not ideal. So some of the programs that I've seen schools provide over the years, latchkey, as kind of the old term, now sometimes they call it like a wraparound program, but morning care and after school care, super important. Sometimes I've had people that actually leave our school system and go to other ones because they have that before school or after school option based on the parents' work schedule. They need somebody to be there for the kids. So, we take it for granted sometimes that we have family members that are here and friends that can help take the kids to classes and get them there on time if we can't. But there's a lot of people that don't have that social network that is able to support them in that manner. So if it's something that you can do in your local school, definitely start that up. We in our community started Magi Youth Sports. Not necessarily a latchkey program, but one of those things where we started a 501c3 nonprofit to run all of our sports programs through. So it was kind of like a piecemeal thing in our community before. Everybody had different things that they ran, and their kids were getting older, and our kids were just getting into it. So my sister and I, Beth Preston and Robbie Hatton, started Magi Youth Sports, got all the paperwork around. Of course, I was in charge of that portion of it, but they do 90% of the legwork. They are really good. They get me to coach sometimes, but I have my limitations. So, that's one thing that you can do in your local community too, is set up that program where if we have activities for the kids that take place after school or in the early evenings. It's another way to help support the parents in the community, giving those kids a way to get rid of that energy and to have a positive experience. And our philosophy is not about competitive and winning. These are kids that are from preschool, 3 and 4 years of age in soccer, all the way up to high school kids. And we try to instill in them, the values of sports in your community and your community involvement. It's not always about getting the big win. It's about learning to win graciously, but also lose graciously and be a team player. So one of the things that I really like about our community for juveniles is having that. So if you ever get the chance to start something like that in your town, shoot me a message or an email, and I can give you ideas on how we set that up. It wasn't terribly difficult, I promise. All right, well, guys, I think that's probably it for today. I'm sure I'll think of something else, but shout out to Brandy Curry. She's a sexual assault counselor who is working in, I swear, 3 different counties right now and helping out my kids that are involved in the sexually motivated cases that are victims of cases, victims of offenders that have cases open. So again, if you have a friend or family member or yourself that is thinking of going into counseling, that is one of the most crucial areas of counseling that we need in this area. Oh, is it good to hire an attorney who's winning? Hey, winning in sports versus winning in the courtroom are very different. So I guess I would say you got to have a well-rounded individual. Let's see if there's any other comments that pop up here. I gotta stop doing this on my phone so that I can actually see all the comments as they come in, because now it's just as they pop up and then it's gone. So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate you hanging in there. Oh, thank you, Penelope. It's very sweet of you. I'll let Judge know when I see him next. I don't think I have any hearings with him, so. All right, Mortimer Duke, I don't know what you were just kidding about, but hey, I can take a joke, so I appreciate it. But yes, guidance counselors in high school. Oh, gosh, those are the unsung heroes, I swear. Having somebody in the school system, even if it's not a guidance counselor, I look at my my friend Robbie Hatton, he's basically an office assistant. My God, what is with my stuttering right now? An office assistant at the high school, and our high school and junior high are together. So 6th through 12th are all in one building. And Robbie, being a successful coach and being in the school every day, is one of those people that if there's a kid having a problem, he can go to them, they trust him, he can get them the help that they need. He's not a counselor, but he is somebody that they trust, and they know that if they tell him something, he's going to support them with it. And I mean, he's the type of guy that when we first started the online schooling, he was worried and driving to kids' houses and making sure they had food. So it's not always the guidance counselors, it's a lot of the office staff too. So, all right, guys, well, thank you. I'll see you next time.